Much more of that. Once again, karibuni sana to KTN News Center. Now let's begin with matters national examinations. While over 750,000 students are set to start their Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination exams today, with top government officials overseeing the distribution of exams material. Our reporters across the country are at different examination centers, keeping an eye on the level of preparedness. We're now joined by our coast-based reporter, Tobias Chanji. Chanji, good morning. So what is happening in Mombasa? All right, so before we head to Mombasa and talk to my colleague Tobias Chanji, let's get back here in Nairobi and speak to my colleague Shadrach Miti, who is in Kibra constituency, just overseeing how the exams has been. Shadrach Miti, I know it's still the same thing that happened in the KCPE exams, members of the Fourth Estate not allowed to get inside the examination centers. But what can you tell us from your side in terms of the kickoff of the first day, where the over 750,000 candidates are writing their first paper today?
Well, Brenda, from where we stand, we can say so far so good. In the morning, we were with the Principal Secretary for Early Learning and Basic Education, Dr. Julius Yohan, who, after witnessing the opening of examination container at the Kibera Deputy County Commissioner's office, we went straight to the Moi Girls School in Nairobi, where we witnessed the beginning of English Paper 1, and which examination is still now ongoing at the moment. Then from there again, we had a chance to move with the PS up to Olympic School here, Olympic High School in Kibra. And a while ago, the PS left to go to Lenana High School just to see how the process is going. But in his earlier brief, the PS has said, from what he has gathered across the country, is that the examination began so well and the process is still ongoing, and so far so good. No incident has been reported so far. And so one thing you need to look at, and the highlight of this examination, is the issue about securing the examination and the entire process. Remember, just before the end of KCPE, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, expressed his displeasure that some examination centers were being manned by a single security officer, contrary to what is supposed to be done. Now, today, in his brief, the Principal Secretary for Education, Dr. Julius Yohan, said that one thing the government is not taking for granted is the security of this examination. And remember, Brenda, this examination is being undertaken in 10,437 examination centers. And remember, the rule by the government is that each examination center must be secured by at least 2 police officers, and that means that we are roughly looking at a conservative number of about 21,000 police officers involved in the securing of 2020 KCSE examinations going forward. And this examination will begin today, has already begun today, and it will run up until April 21st when it will end. And so many things going on. So far, the government says not so many challenges being reported, but the process is being monitored closely. Although the CS for Education had indicated that there's some few areas which have been flagged for possible cheating and involving in examination malpractices. But the government says they're keeping an eye on every detail and every process that might jeopardize or even compromise the integrity of the examination process. Brenda.
Just before I let you go, I know the last time we talked on Monday, actually this week, when the KCPE exams kicked off, there was plans by the government to ensure that candidates who didn't register for these exams are given the KCPE exams to write through photocopying of the original examination papers. Is that the same situation with the KCSE examinations, probably if the other candidates were not registered?
Well, again, the directive by the government still remains the same. Although we can say on this day one, we are yet to get any report of candidates who did not register, but they are supposed to sit for the examination. But based on what the PS for Education said, all candidates will be sitting for this examination, including those like in our yesterday's reporting, where our colleague Mark Namaswa reported of a school in Dakoreti that it has around 32 candidates, but that school is not registered by the government. And so the PS alluded to that fact and said that every candidate who is supposed to be sitting for this year's examination will be allowed to sit for it. So whether they are in a place or in a center that appears not to have the full acknowledgement of the government, or if they have been involved in any situation that makes them not to be registered as it were during KCPE, the government says examination for every learner who is supposed to be sitting for this 2020 KCSE examination must be administered to them, and everyone who is eligible for that exam will be attended to accordingly.
All right, Shadrach Miti, thank you so much for giving us the latest update, talking to us live from